Hey guys, hope you and your families are doing well. Weekly IBD 50 video sponsored by MarketSmith. There's a discounted trial available in the comments below if you are interested. So in this week's session, we're going to be looking at some different areas which I haven't covered of late. We're actually going to be starting off with lithium. We're then going to look at the worst shoe manufacturer ever, arguably being Crocs. Going to take a look at some solar stocks, some internet network solutions, some internet retail, and then also some airline stocks. And I may chuck a couple of others in as we go. Now, the market on a short-term basis is a little bit extended, especially some areas that have shown a lot of relative strength, such as semiconductors, SMH, breaking out nicely, as is the SPY from that head and shoulders bottoming type pattern. So we'll see if the strength continues, and we'll see if setups form in coming weeks. So covering some areas that are potentially setting up, while some others are shorter term extended. So let's just start off here. This is LIT. So this is the lithium ETF that I look at. Now, what I think is interesting here, if you aren't familiar with the Wyckoff methodology, this is displaying characteristics of a Wyckoff phase 1 accumulation base, and I like this phase C spring here, undercuts the potential support level, nice strong rally back up above all the key moving averages on the daily chart, and then what happens following a phase C spring is phase D. Now in phase D, you can quite commonly see a cup and handle type pattern form, with the phase C spring being the bottom of the cup and handle. See this? So if I start drawing this out and you have a little bit of imagination for how this might play out, something like this. This is what I would be looking for. So then obviously in phase D, where that potential cup and handle is forming, you're looking for a VCP, a Darvis box, a flag, so on and so forth, right? So I think the ETF here being lit looks interesting, a lot of strength. And then SQM is actually on the IBD 50 list. This one here is a lithium related stock. I think we all know there's going to be a significant demand for lithium over the next decade or so. And then what I like here is just first and foremost from a fundamental perspective, take a look at the really high earnings, sales, margins accelerating versus the prior quarter as well. It looks pretty interesting. And again, we have this potential large base forming here. Now it needs a little bit of work, maybe underneath psychological level of $100. I don't like the breakups that are just wedging straight up like this. I like to see that kind of BCP nature, a little Darvis box, so on and so forth, right? But in the latter part of this base, see how you've potentially got the bottom of a cup powering up and out the right hand side of the cup. So if this can start tightening up and it sets up around the 1021 EMA, that could look very interesting indeed, and a lot of causality there as well. Now I'll just chuck in some others which aren't on this list, such as an ALB. Now take a look at the estimates for this stock as well. Another lithium related stock. Take a look at the estimates for this stock for the next couple of years. Well, 2022, then into 2023. So the company's gone from earning $3, $4, $6, $4 up to $21, up to $28. That is huge. You also have Fidelity, who established a position in Q3 of 2022, then increased in Q4 as well. So I think that's interesting. And again, it's the causality point. You potentially have a very large base here. RS lines are now starting to turn up, earnings coming through, sales coming through as well. Could be a fairly easy year-over-year comp versus the December number. We'll see on that. But take a look how the sales are accelerating here. 2%, 36%, 91%, 152%, and then you're going to have this macro bull case for lithium as well. I'll give you one more lithium stock, which is PLL. What do you notice here? Again, kind of a cause and effect relationship. Looks interesting, doesn't it? It's potentially got a very large cause. Now, there's very specific things that I'm looking for. You can go and look at some recent videos on that. But what I think here, lithium stocks showing some relative strength. You can see that in terms of the RS lines here. So yeah, an area of focus. Let's go on to the worst shoe manufacturer ever. Crocs. I still have never bought a pair of Crocs in my life. But you can see Lord Abbott developing. I think it's fairly good. Increased positions in the most recently reported 2 quarters, finding support on the 21 EMA, which is that green line there. Needs a little bit of work. Would like to see this base duration increase, but positive reaction to the most recent earnings on some volume as well. Volume looks pretty constructive, drying up there. Nice healthy uptrend. Yeah, if this can maybe tighten up a little bit more, it's a fairly liquid stock as well. So I would say for me, a little bit more work, a little bit more tightness around the 1021 EMA, but certainly looking interesting. Solar stocks, I feel like I talk about these every single week. And I still think they look interesting, but the breakouts, who knows? Maybe they come, maybe they don't come. If I just show you TAN, nothing has really changed in terms of this potential very large VCP on the weekly chart. it's still there. Structurally, it's still intact. It's obviously just patience, but potentially still a very large base building there. So TAN is still getting my interest, as is then those individual solar stocks. So this is SHLS. You got 3 higher quality growth funds all initiated a position in the most recently reported quarter. They aren't doing that. They aren't doing that for giggles. They're only doing that for a single reason. Estimates look really good with the guidance up as well. Earnings coming through, sales coming through, margins accelerating. And you can see this VCP nature starting to carve out. Stock is around many key moving averages. A couple of weak closes last week. It was looking like it was trying to set up, then it rolled back over. So for me, pivot needs to form high 20s, maybe just underneath $30, something like that. So I'd like to see what I call a bullish synchronicity candlestick, get back up near $30 and then tighten up here, trigger bars come through, and then potentially carve out this low pivot. So still think it's interesting, but the stocks just need to set up as per my criteria. This is Solar Edge as well. So similar, you can just see here on the daily chart as well. I'll go Wyckoff on you on this one. You can see how it's potentially trying to carve out a lower pivot down here, but again, similar to SHLS, needs to just have a nice reversal bar and then start tightening up around 330. 328, 329, something like that for me, for how I could foresee this pivot playing out. And then you could see how within this large base, what chart pattern do you see? You see a potential cup and handle. See that cup and handle VCP, this being the cup, this then being the handle over there. So solar stocks are still there, but yet to break out. But yeah, looking interesting. And just kind of on that point, the reason I want to do this stock here, Frodo, is it had this nice low pivot breakout. So you see this here, how it's setting up. Now look how similar this looks to say a Solar Edge or an SHLS. So see here how it builds these high lows. You get a bit of I drew that really badly, but a bit of cup and handle, bit of VCP action. But see how it builds this low pivot here. If I just go back to an SHLS, see this, how it's potentially setting up a similar pivot in there. See Solar Edge, how it's potentially setting up the similar lower pivot coming through in here. So I just think it's an interesting one. The reason I want to put this one on the radar as well, it's relatively new in terms of an IPO. But a decent sized base there. It's powering out of this base. Very good earnings, very good sales. Margins decreasing, maybe a little bugbear there, but certainly the technical strength there. The estimates look terrific for 2024. Look at the volume coming through on this breakout here. So this is a very interesting one. The market is starting to act better. This is a new IPO stock breaking out into all-time high territory. For me, it's extended here on a shorter term basis. But if this can pull back, set up a nice base continuation type pattern, this is one that I'm focused on. Another one, a little bit shorter term extended here, but I want to have it on my radar, is ticker MELI. Now this is dubbed the Amazon of South America. You've got JP Morgan large cap, you've got Fidelity, who've been active in most recently reported quarters. And from a kind of price cycle standpoint, if we go onto the weekly chart, and how well we can kind of see this, being said, it's a phase 4 decline, right? And then it starts carving out this phase 1 base, breaking out of the phase 1 base. You've had 2 bullish synchronicity weeks coming through there. One of them on very good volume as well, the other one on above average volume. So I think it's an interesting one. Then take a look at the earnings and sales. Earnings fairly consistent, obviously with some COVID lockdowns and stuff like that, kind of rolling lockdowns. But you could have an easy year-over-year comp for the next quarter as well. You got sales look consistently high. The estimates look very good in 2022, 2023 as well. You can see the company's gone from earning $3.81, losing money, a dollar, and then $8, and $14.66 with the forward guidance up as well. So I think this is very, very interesting. Short term, extended, but as it's breaking out of this base here, if it can now carve out flag, VCP, Darvis box, something like that on the 1021 EMA in coming weeks, I think it looks interesting. Very liquid stock as well. PDD. So this one here is a Chinese internet related company. So maybe it's similar-ish to many, but it isn't really. It's obviously Chinese related. K-Web rolling over a little bit. We'll see whether it's just a shakeout and some more strength comes into these Chinese names and they reset. But it's certainly one of the stronger ones. It's just kind of a few shakeouts underneath the 21 EMA. So we'll see if this turns out to be a shakeout, and then maybe it sets a nice pivot, tightens up, something like that this week, next week, something like that. But yeah, it's one that I'm keeping an eye on. Really good estimates, forward guidance up. Look how the volume is drying up. Look at some of this volume coming in, just down in the lows of this base. Lots and lots of volume footprint, and then as I said, volume just drying up constructively there. So we will see. Excuse my cough. Too many videos, and currently have a cold as well actually. So UAL. United Airlines, I want to show you this on the weekly chart. I think Warren Buffett said he actually hires someone to tell him. Oh, he was joking. He actually hires someone to tell him whenever he's thinking buying an airline stock, the guy tells him, do not buy an airline stock. I don't know whether that guy is still employed or not. Who knows, right? It's just a joke. But in here, potentially trying to break out of this large phase 1 base. When I actually look up in the sky where I am, I even said to my wife yesterday, I said, there's lots and lots of airplanes in the sky relative to what I was seeing a month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. I don't know whether that feeds into US airlines or not. It's just an observation. But it's breaking out of this downward trend line. Good volume coming through. It needs some more time in here, but potentially low 50s. Maybe it can carve out a pivot, but volume's dried up constructively the last couple of weeks. Good earnings coming through, good sales coming through. Estimates look good for the next couple of years as well, with forward guidance up as well. So a little bit more work on this one, shorter term extended, but if it can pull back in, 21 EMA catches up on the daily chart, that there could look more interesting. And then one more airline stock to finish. Let's go on to the weekly chart as well. Take a look at the earnings and the estimates for 2022, 2023. Earnings look good, sales look consistently high as well. And then what is catching my eye here from kind of a Wyckoff standpoint is large causes tend to lead to large effects. That there is a very large base, and the stock is trying to come out of a very large base. RS lines have been turning up. Needs some work, no doubt. On the daily chart, you can see this is still volatile in here for me. I'd like to see that kind of really nice quiet price action, but low 90s, $90, something like that. If it can just drift sideways, maybe 90, 94, 95. If it can just drift sideways in here, let's just clear that. If it can just kind of tighten up in here, 10, 21 is there, something like that, could look fairly interesting. Maybe earnings is the catalyst in 9 days at the time of filming this for the breakout. So I think that's interesting, guys. So I'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for watching. Some other areas we cover in there. If some of the semiconductor stocks are pulling back constructively in the coming sessions, coming weeks, and you'll see those back on these weekly IBD 50 videos. Thanks very much for watching. See you in the next one.